Let's bring in our political editor, Andrew Clennell. Andrew, trying to put the best spin on it, that's fine, but really as someone who's been around politics as long as you and I have, to see the coalition split in this way, it creates an enormous amount of difficulty if they're ever to get back together again, and they reduce the critical mass in the floor on the floor of the House and weakens the opposition.
I mean, healthy. It's about as healthy as a pack of Camel non-filters, Kieran. I mean, frankly, it's a disaster. It is a disaster for Conservative politics in this country, and it is the worst thing that I've ever witnessed happen to the Conservative side of politics in this country. Now, admittedly, I wasn't a journalist during 1987, the infamous Joe for PM campaign, which David Littleproud was just referring to. I was in high school. I vaguely remember it. John Howard got smashed during that election. It's the best Labor result apart from the 2025 one. But they split then for around 4 months, as David Littleproud said, after the Queensland Nationals left the coalition. But I just find that absolutely extraordinary. And to illustrate what Kieran's saying, let's have a look at this, the state of the House. So let's have a look at what we've got here. We're going to have questions from Liberals, questions from Nationals. They're popping champagne corks down in the PMO right now, the Prime Minister's office, or they should be. What a joke. I mean, seriously. Now, the weirdest thing about it is David Littleproud's doing this, not saying I want to be Prime Minister, but I want to, get remarried down the track. Well, it's pretty hard to get remarried once you've been separated, as most people know. So, I mean, this is just crazy stuff. Let's have a listen to him here saying we could get back together in this term, David Littleproud.
I'm passionate in the belief that we can bring this back together, but I'm going to create the environment for that to happen. I'm going to do that in a responsible and sensible way, that there is a pathway forward. Those positions that we couldn't get comfort around a nuclear being part of an energy grid into the future, about the Regional Australia Future Fund, a $20 billion fund paying a $1 billion dividend every year above and beyond to change the lives of regional Australians, about employing and training some doctors, to actually filling in some potholes, to actually giving young families the hope of childcare, what we fight for every day. That's the principal position we took that we needed to have comfort around.
Now, Susan Lee appears to be breaking, Kieran, from what Peter Dutton did and what other Liberal leaders have done from the past, and let's let the tail wag the dog. Keeping the party rooms together. The Nationals went out first on The Voice, right? The Nationals were on about nuclear opposing The Voice. The Nationals were on about nuclear first. He followed their positions on both, it has to be said. Susan Lee says, I'm not going to do that. And I think David Littleproud's made a major error here. And I can't believe that the defection of Jacinta Price assisted this, by the way, although one National source has said to me that was Tony Passant and Angus Taylor, not Alex Hawke and Susan Lee, who were responsible for that. But I just don't see how you put this show together. Now, I did say on Sunday Agenda this week that a Liberal frontbencher had said to me, we are in the mood in the Liberal Party room to tell them to go jump in their demands. So as much as when we broke this news this morning, I said to you, Kieran, that David Littleproud would have been spooked by the Matt Canavan challenge. There would have been plenty of Liberal MPs saying to Susan Lee, well, no, don't bend to their demands. And what was wrong with David Littleproud just doing a policy review and waiting a few months, by the way? Ted O'Brien is the Deputy Liberal leader. He was on Sunday Agenda, and I put it to him, could we end up with no coalition agreement here?
But when it does come to issues of policy, the Liberal Party has already made it very clear what our approach is. And that is we need to be listening to the Australian people. We'll be looking at the evidence and the data also as it comes in. And together we'll be drawing conclusions and formulating policy. That's the approach that Susan has rightly laid out. It's an approach which really speaks to being inclusive, being consultative, and respecting the primacy of the Liberal Party room. That'll continue to be the case.
I'll be joined by Senior Nationals Kevin Hogan in just a moment. But Andrew, among the many issues in relation to this move that I find hard to get my head around, let's say, for example, the Liberals now announce their front bench and then you've got a shadow front bench there. How do you have a rapprochement get back together, get the coalition back together. When you've already appointed all those individuals, it becomes an entirely diabolical issue for the Liberal leader to navigate. So, yeah, unless this split is really about show, if it's all about show and they get back together in 2 weeks, well then, let's see what happens. But the language, the rhetoric, it sounds really disastrous.
Oh, no, this is real. You can't put the cork back in the bottle once you've popped it. I had to talk about champagne the whole cross, Kieran, but I mean, essentially, what's done is done. This is done. Now, maybe in 6 or 12 months they could try and have that rapprochement, but you just pointed out the biggest issue of all. And what was intriguing about that press conference there is David Littleproud was, I reported earlier, they won't get, and I understand it, they won't get the shadow minister's top up of 25%. They'll be on less salary. He said that's up to the Parliament and up to the PM. What's Anthony Albanese going to do here? If he really wants to screw the Liberals, is he going to give the Nationals a shadow minister salary? Because it's in his interest to keep this split going for as long as possible, for the very obvious reason that as long as they're split, they ain't getting within cooee of government. So let's have a look at the state of the House again if we can, because it really is something that we have never seen before. You might have seen something like it in 1987, but then it was a 125-seat parliament or whatever, what have you around there, and the coalition would have had more numbers. Labor, 93. Liberal, 28. Nationals, 15. Teal, 6. Independent, 5. Have a think about that. Labor, 93. Liberal, 28. Nationals, 15. 93-43 sounds a hell of a lot. It sounds pretty terrible, but it sounds a hell of a lot better than 93-28 or 93-15, doesn't it, Kieran?